How are your mentals? How are you doing mentally? Are you stressed? You dealing with things? Let's talk about it. But before we get into that, give me the three freebies. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host for the Film and Theater podcast, The Spencer Perspective, and we have work to do. Let's get to it. If you're trying to be in a relationship and your mental health and your fortitude is not the strongest it can be, you're going to fail. If you're dealing with someone just because you like them, but you see that they're not mentally all there, they're stressed, dealing with things, they're, treating you the worst of ways, you're going to fail. You have to make sure that your mental health is the best it could possibly be. We all have our villain backstories, things that stress us out, the reason why we won't deal with family anymore, the reason why our job stresses us out. Your relationship should never be the place where your mental health is in jeopardy. I'm going to say that again if you didn't hear me. Your relationship, your romantic relationship, should be one of the places where your mental health is never in jeopardy. How are your mentals? How are you feeling? Do you know your state of mind? Is it in a good place? If it's not in a good place, you're always going to show where your body is. What do I mean by that? Your body always follows your mind. So if you're not in a good mental state, your body is going to do things that are not good for you as well too. Your mouth is not going to do good things as well too. Your mental health is so fucking important before you get into a relationship. You have to be able to assess it and assess it in a way that's very fair, in a way that's rigid. You got to be rigid about it. Your mental health has to be strong. A lot of aspects about life challenges us. Society is selfish. People are selfish. And they're going to take from you before they give. With that in mind, are you taking from yourself before you give to yourself? Why are you taking away from your mental health? How do you get stronger with your mentals? Here's what I do. I try to remove the fluff from my life. You have to understand what's actually important and what's not important. Once you can understand that, you're able to remove the fluff out of your life. If there's people you don't want to deal with, I don't give a fuck if they're your family or not. You don't have to deal with them. Only people you got to deal with is people at work, and deal with them in a limited capacity. You don't want to deal with family? Don't deal with them. You don't want to deal with certain people at work? Don't deal with them. If there are certain articles you don't like to read, don't read them. Your mental health is so important. We have a limited amount of time in this world. And for damn sure, you should not be spending the majority of that time stressing. I myself rarely stress, but even I get caught up too. I got caught up recently. My mental health was not doing too good because of external factors. Things that have nothing to physically do with me, but things that were around me that still affected me. You have to get above and beyond what's right in front of you. You are the most valuable asset to you. Remember that. And no one else can tell you otherwise. They can eat it. And I ain't talking about food. All right? Now, I ask you again, how are your mentals? Have you checked in with yourself? Are you introspective? How honest are you with yourself? Do you lie to yourself? If you do, you're going to have a bad time. All the fucking time. You have to make sure that you're strong mentally for you and your partner, both of you. You both got to be strong because life's going to challenge you. Life will challenge you time and time again. I don't know why. We just have a society that operates that way. Not everybody's on the same fucking wavelength, and you know exactly what I mean. Stay on the lookout. One more time, I'll ask you, how are your mentals? Have you honestly had a good conversation with yourself? I'm going to keep it real with you. Back in 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, I had this habit of laying in the bed, turning off all the lights, putting my blackout curtains on, putting a cover over my head, and just having a conversation with myself. That's how I protected my mentality. The pandemic showed us a different way of life, but at the same time, it did not improve my mental health. I had to take charge with that. No one else can help your mentals but you. You have to take that first step. But the first step is introspection and honesty. Also, the desire to want to be good for the people just because. Your mentals are going to do better if you start taking this path. On a mental case, I'm doing a whole lot better. We all are. This is the Firm and Faith podcast, and I'm out.